How are you all this morning? Good, good. Would you like to lead us in prayer, please?
I so want to lead us in prayer. And I wanted to do it last week, but I was running late. And so I'm like, but I'm here. And so grateful to be here on this gorgeous day and to get all this new learning for us that we get to use in our lives. So with that, let us pray. Gracious God, it is good. It is good to be together in this room. It is good to be in your creation. We ask you, oh God, to bless this time together, to bless Diane and her teaching, that it may grow us, that it may change us, that it may help us to walk a little closer with you and with our neighbor. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Thank you. Okay, are you ready to change your minds? All right. Okay, last week, remember we talked about the old men? And the old men went away for 5 days. In 5 days, they changed their entire physiology. Wow. We're going to talk about today what actually happened in their brains, what enabled them to make that kind of incredible change, so that you know what actually caused all of that. And then the implications will be for you, what you want to do with that kind of information, all right? Last time we talked about mind mapping. We taught you how to do it. We're going to do more of that today. And next week, I'm going to show you physiologically what mind mapping does for your brain. Did a lot of research at Ohio State University, wiring people up, having them do all kinds of different thinking tools, one of which was mind mapping, and I'll show you what's happening to your brain, and you're going to love it. And the last thing we talked about last week was rewiring your brain. We looked at that activity where you had something in your life that you wanted to change. It became you sent it out. You had the thing that you really wanted in your life, and you brought that in, and you flooded your brain. When you were doing that activity, you literally were changing the wiring in your brain. It's a really great technique if you can't sleep at night. Think about that. You're lying in bed, you're tossing and turning, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. Just send it out, bring sleep in, and just flood your body with that sensation of sleep. And by the fourth time, you'll be sound asleep. Rewire your brain, get rid of the worry, bring in peace and harmony. So what I'd like you to do is on your second page, thank you. Take your second page that says Mind Map Day 2, turn your paper this way, and I'd like you to mind map what you learned last week. Now notice, I know, it's like, oh my gosh. That's why we're doing it, because one of the things you're gonna find is that you remember a whole lot more than what you thought. One of the things when you do a mind map, turn your page this way as opposed to this way. It gives the brain the illusion that you have more space. When you feel like you have more space, you're more open, you're more creative. So turn your paper this way. In the center, put a circle, day 2. Last week was day 2. Put that little circle and then draw a branch. And one thing that you remember from last week, put it on that branch. And then when you have another idea, draw another branch. In fact, you could even just draw 3 branches of the things that we did last week. One was how to mind map. One was the old men. And one was the technique for rewiring your brain. And then what were some things that you remembered from each of those?
Could you say that again?
I can't. Maybe. We did the old men. We talked about the old men. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we talked about how to mind map. And we did an exercise where you worked on changing a belief that you had. I can't fall asleep. Oh, I'm asleep. Remember that was the one where you had the old belief and then you brought the new belief was that tiny little light and you brought it in and it got big and it saturated you. Yeah, we did that.
So you want us to just pick one of those to do?
No, do your mind map. So one of the things was we did mind mapping, so that'll be one of your branches. So right, or mind mapping.
So like we figured that, I mean, you hadn't told us to have like something we wanted to improve.
Okay, your mind map is what we did last week. So that would be in the center, you could write day 2.
Day 2.
Day 2. So what were the things that we did in day 2? One was mind mapping. So you could write mind mapping there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then what's one thing you remember about mind mapping? Draw a line. What's one thing you remember about mind mapping? Hello? Who remembers? Pardon me? No, the process of mind mapping. It's different than an outline. It has some of the characteristics of an outline, but it doesn't have the downside of an outline. So it has some of the characteristics of an outline. That would be something. It expands your mind. It helps you think much faster. It's only key words. It enables you to see connections between things. So there's a lot of, yes. Yes, it significantly increases your creativity. So you can have a whole branch with all those things that you learned about mind mapping. How did you like mind mapping? How did it feel? What were the things that you remembered from mind mapping? Those are all things that could go on different branches around mind mapping. We talked about the old men. That certainly is going to be a branch. They went away for 5 days. And they talked about Mickey Mantle, and they ate hot dogs, and they read Life magazine. And at the end, all of their chemistry was different. They were 22 years younger. A man who had been walking with a cane for years was playing touch football. So just each branch will be something that you remember. And notice how when you draw one line, it just seems to trigger another one. And just write down keywords. You probably don't even need to do more than 3 words on a line. You just want to so you don't want to do sentences, you just want to do the essence of what your thought is. Okay, why don't you get with the other people at your table and just quickly share the things you wrote on your mind map, what you liked about mind map, what you didn't, whatever. So just get with your people and share. Is that the one about this? What was the book about?
It was the first book. It was how to change or listen to your mind. Your mind doesn't lie.
Yeah, your body doesn't lie. And what was your question?
The author. I know I went
Oh.
online.
Diamond
Diamond.
is his last name.
Okay.
I'll bring it next week so you can,
Oh, okay.
if you can't find it. Hi, come in.
So I missed the first activity, right?
What we did was I had them mind map what they remember from last week.
Oh,
So you can just, and now they're just talking from their mind map. So get with a group and you can just listen to them. Okay. Let me have your attention for a second. See, once you get talking from your mind maps, you can't stop. They're very addictive. So let me ask you, what did you like about mind mapping? What did you like? Yes.
It opens my brain.
Okay. Okay, she said mind mapping opened her brain. I'm done. If we get their brains open, we've done a huge thing, right? Because don't you get stuck and then you loop and you loop and you loop? It opens your brain. Holy cow, great. Anything else you wanted to say?
I thought it was simpler.
Simpler. And if it's simpler, it's easier to do. We're more likely to do it.
It's more fun.
It's more fun. Simple, easy, and fun. Thank you very much. Sold. What else? What else did you like about mind mapping?
I loved it.
You loved it. And why did you love it?
Well, yesterday was my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
I had a mind map for the whole day.
Did you really?
And two of the things on it was to see sunrise and sunset.
Oh.
And I made it to the beach for both of them.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
And
Excellent.
then the other thing is it's my mother's birthday too. And
Wow.
She passed away. She's at the National Cemetery. So I went there and sang happy birthday to her.
How lovely. What a great birthday.
Can I tell you one more thing?
Yes, one more.
And then I'm in the choir here at Church of the Palms, and I went to choir practice last night, and they sang me happy birthday.
Oh, you came full circle.
What a wonderful day. But
Well,
I got
terrific.
another one planned for today with my mind mapping.
Excellent, excellent, very good. Okay, anything you don't like about mind mapping? Yes.
I'm just I would really like the outline. I'm just finding it, I don't know, I like the outline.
Okay, tell me what you like about the outline.
To me, it was always very linear.
Okay.
So I like that, and how to take the thought deeper. So I kind of was.
Take a thought deeper. So you could go down as many detail. You can do that with mind mapping. You just keep doing more branches. Okay, so let me show you. There is a linear mind map. Okay, so instead of a circle, so what I'll do is for like in planning this course, I designed it using the circular because I needed to be able to see how things were connected. I had to be able to be free flowing for a while, blah, blah, blah. But I can only teach it in a linear way, right? Okay. So this is my central idea here. The intent is for me to stay focused on the central idea. That's one of the things that happens when we're thinking about things. We get off on tangents and we forget what our central focus is. So you always want to have your central idea somewhere. So then I've got all of my ideas on my circular mind map. Now I start to look at day one. What makes sense on day one? These are the things we're going to do on day one. Here's day 2, and then day 3. So I can still have that linear thinking. That help? Like that? Yes.
See, now I would put the central focus as the goal at the end of the line.
That could be. I mean, it depends on why are you doing the mind map. So the mind map could be your goal.
Yeah.
Think about that. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That would work. That would work. Okay. Any other questions about mind mapping? So we're just triggering those little dendrites to grow. Okay, mind mapping. Okay. All right. So if you turn to the next page, it says day 3. So as we go through today, if you want to mind map today, feel free to do that. Okay, what we're going to talk about today are brainwave patterns. What's going on in your brain electrically, or not. Okay, so we're going to talk about brainwave patterns. We're going to talk about the old men and what was it that actually caused them to go from using a cane, having terrible arthritis, et cetera, to not needing a cane. And that gentleman who gave up his cane, you need to know, he went out and played touch football that day.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, yes. Their fingers actually were longer because their arthritis receded so much. So we're going to talk about what actually enabled them to make those miraculous changes. And then the last activity you're going to love, this is a new one I've been working on, and we're going to change your boxes today. Okay? You'll love this activity. So that's what we're going to do. So let's talk about brainwave patterns. What are they? Anybody know what brainwave patterns are? Okay, so you're, yeah.
Isn't that what your EEG gives you, is the alpha and beta wave?
Yes, yes. We talked about that every thought is an electrical, chemical connection. So the electrical part of a thought is the brainwave pattern that goes like that. So and we talked about every thought has a different brainwave pattern to it. Some of your thoughts are tense, some of them are very relaxed. So we can actually look at your brainwave patterns. This was a piece of research I was doing on a program I was teaching at the time, designing and teaching at the time. And this was the participants actually doing the activity. What do you think I had them doing? Well, let me take it in another way. If you saw a person and their brain was that left top hand corner where it's all red and orange, you're on fire? Give me another word.
Excited.
Excited, anxiety. Active.
Angry?
Could be angry.
Stressed.
Stressed would be another word for that. What about that center blue line? What would a person be doing that their brain waves look like that?
Sleeping.
Not sleeping. Meditating. Relaxing. Any other words? Okay, what about that very last one? That deep blue. Pardon me?
Is that sleep?
That's not sleep, but that's still not sleep, because it's real hard to get your participants doing things if you got them sleeping on you. I don't want people sleeping in my class. Think about that.
Deep breathing?
Okay, I could be in a real deep relaxation, okay? So let's take a look at what we got here. Okay. I'm going to talk about these 4. I don't want to go into this. This is really beyond the scope of the course. But if you'll notice the pattern of this is a much more intense pattern. This is a little bit more relaxed. This is more relaxed. And this is really relaxed. So this pattern right here is called beta. And beta is in when you're doing. You got up this morning, you got dressed, you had breakfast, you got out the house, you got here on time, da-da-da-da. Beta is for doing. And we do a lot of doing all day long, right? Now, each of these 4 categories has a span within it. So there's high beta, there's medium beta, and there's low beta. So high beta is when you're really late for an important appointment. Okay. Medium beta is like, I have appropriate amount of time to get there. Low beta is, I got an extra 20 minutes. I'm going to go pretty slow. I'm getting there, but I got plenty of time. So beta is for doing things, for being active, for making things happen. Alpha, which is this next state, right here, alpha is when we're watching TV. When we're relaxed, okay? When we're taking a walk. We're just meditating. And we can have high alpha, we can have medium alpha, we can have a very relaxed alpha. And so you may notice when you're in alpha, you're watching TV and the commercials come on and you have the remote in your hand and you forget to zoom through the commercials because you're on Zoom. Seriously. Think about that. You have the remote in your hand because you hate the commercials and the commercials come on and you go, and you sit there and watch them. Hello, who's home? No one. Okay, all right. The next one is theta, and that's a real deep relaxation. So that's a deep meditation. That's that time before sleep. This is where the body actually heals itself. The body heals in theta. And the last one is sleep. That's where the mind heals itself.
I missed one.
What did you miss?
So beta, alpha,
Theta.
beta, and then this, are we on the 4th one?
Delta. Yes, delta. I'm sorry, delta's.
The orange one.
This is alpha, this is theta, and this is delta. Okay. This one, we're not talking, this is beta, alpha, theta, delta. We're not doing this one. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Got the color coding for. Yes.
Would the big wave in Delta be a dream?
Could be. That's yeah. Good observation. Absolutely could be a dream. So you know when you sleep, you have deep sleep, you have light sleep. So within each of these categories, there's a high, medium, and a low. Okay. So I want you to think about, you've already been through these this morning. You were in sleep, you woke up, you were in theta, you were kind of for a little while, kind of coming from sleep into wake. Then you got up and you went, oh yeah, I need to get going this morning. You had your cup of coffee, you're kind of moving around thinking about your day. You got in the car and you got here. Now tonight you're going to do the reverse of that. Okay, you're going to be doing. You're going to, so then you're going to be, oh, after dinner I got the dishes done. I think I'll sit down for a minute, watch a little TV. You watch a little TV and you get really kind of sleepy and you think, oh, I had a really lovely day and then I think I better go to bed. Thank you very much. Okay, we move in and out of them automatically. What I want to talk about real quickly today is to begin to think about using these intentionally. Intentionally. We automatically go through them. The problem is sometimes we're in bed and we're still in beta. Okay, you know that one? Or sometimes we had a glass of wine and we slipped down into theta. Okay. But what you want to do, each of these has its purpose. And what happens is we try to do things in the wrong brainwave pattern. So if I got to get my house clean and I got a limited amount of time, I need to shift into beta. Just do it, okay? But if I need to have an insight, if I'm working on a problem, and it's what am I going to do for dinner? It's an easy problem, but I'm not coming up with anything. I need to shift into alpha. That's where I get all of my ahas, are in alpha. And where we used to live, we lived right off of an outer belt, and nobody ever used it. It was, you just got on the outer belt, and you could just drive all day. And there would be all these beautiful woods that you'd go past, and I'd get my solution to whatever, just driving. How many times have you ever driven someplace and you don't remember getting there and you had nothing to drink? You were in alpha, okay? You got there perfectly. You had no accident, okay? Now sometimes, like if I have a really deep problem I'm trying to solve or get a solution to or be creative, I'll slip down into theta. I'll go on the lanai, kind of in and out, really relax. This is where Albert Einstein got his theory of relativity, was in theta. These are your, what am I going to do with my life kind of things. You can't get, what am I going to do with my life when you're in beta? It doesn't work. And what happens is we get these confused sometimes. We can't heal our body and mind unless we're in theta and delta, okay? So you want to start thinking about what is it I'm trying to do and what is the brainwave pattern that I need to be in to be conducive for that. Make sense? Yeah. So how do you get from beta to alpha? How do you do that? You what? Remove distractions, absolutely. You can't, hobbies are a great thing. Hobby is anything that you do that you have no idea how long you've been doing it. So that could be sewing, that could be gardening. That is something where you tune off the world. You're being productive, but you're not participating in what's happening over in Israel right now. Okay, you see the difference? So when you're sewing or gardening, you're focusing on gardening. You're focusing on the plant. You're focusing on the soil, okay? It's a great thing. Number one thing is breathing. Breathing will get you, shift your brainwave pattern faster than any single thing you can do. When you're in beta, you're breathing right up here. Right up here. We don't even know we're doing it. We're going, okay. Alpha, take a deep breath. Everybody take a deep breath. Do it again. You can go into the restroom if you're at a meeting and it's too much beta. It'll immediately calm you down. If you're sitting in a meeting and you can't believe what's going on and you're getting really sit there and breathe. Sit there and breathe. That's all you have to do. Look how easy it is to be in control and to get what it is that you need. It's just a matter of knowing. So now when you're in a meeting, they're driving you crazy, sit there and breathe. Water is fabulous. Drink water, listen to water, soak in water. Water's wonderful. Music, what kind of music? You can tell me what kind of music will shift you into alpha or theta. Yes, do you know why? It's not heavy metal. Beethoven is at 60 beats a minute. What else is at 60 beats a minute? Your heart. So when you hear heavy metal, your heart goes, it synchronizes immediately. When you put Beethoven on, your heart synchronizes at 60 beats a minute. So listen to Beethoven. You say, Alexa, play Beethoven. you have company coming over, you're running late, listen to Beethoven and breathe. And you'll meet them graciously. Meditation, obviously, touch, just something simple like, how are you today? Automatically changes her body chemistry. Exercise is good. All of those things can help you shift from alpha into theta, alpha and beta, depending on where you want to go. Any questions about any of that? Okay, so let me talk about meditation for a second here. Meditation does everything. It is the cure-all for everything, for a lot of reasons, one of which it puts you into alpha. And it can put you into theta, depending on the type of meditation. So it reduces your stress and anxiety. It improves your sleep. It gives you greater clarity. Lowers your blood pressure, greater sense of calmness. Reduces your cortisol. It lowers your risk of heart attack and stroke. It improves your brain function and your memory. And it does a whole lot of other things. But meditation, and there's all kinds of meditations. Meditation is really great. So what I want you to visualize your life is it's a rubber band. Okay, I got a rubber band here. And this is how you are all day long. Okay, so what happens to that rubber band when I keep it stretched like this for a period of time? It breaks. So in order for it not to break, what do I need to do? Relax. I need to go into alpha or theta. So just think of you as a rubber band, and when do you need to breathe? When do you need to breathe? You're shifting your brainwave patterns when you do that. Can it be that easy? Any questions? You love it, good. Because now I'm going to tell you about the old men. So let me do a quick review. Remember the brain cells. In our brain cells, we have the nucleus and we have the dendrites, right? Remember that? And a thought is an electrical chemical connection between two dendrites. You just made it. Did you feel it? As you thought about it. Okay. So we also talked about these dear mice had very different kinds of lives. And because they had very different environments, they changed their brains. It's called neuroplasticity, the ability to change your brain. They changed their brain because of the different environments they had. We're changing your brain in here because you're in a different environment, and we're teaching you different things. We talked about that the brain cells are made up of 3 components. The number of cells that you have, we talked about that, enables you to make more connections. If this is all I have, I can't make many connections. I can't come up with many solutions. If I got this many, I can come up with lots of solutions. So the number is important. The length is important. You've talked to this person, right? It takes a long time for them to figure out what you're saying. They're staring at you. This person is like, thank you very much, I got it, because it doesn't take as much time for the connection. We talked about the third thing, the myelin sheath, is it enables the electrical connection to move quickly and easily. We don't have resistance. So if we exercise our brains, we have lots of dendrites, we have long dendrites, and we make those connections easily and effortlessly. Keep thinking about my old men, okay, as I'm walking you through this. So we also know that we attach emotions to every thought. So this is a chair. It's not good or bad, it's a chair. A thought is not good or bad. It's a thought, it's an electrical connection. Now this chair, I love this chair. It is so soft, it is so supportive of my back. It is so comfortable. I feel so good that I have a chair like this when I come here. emotion, emotion. Tasha, this chair doesn't even have an arm on it. How can I sit in a chair and not have it? Life is so unfair to me. Can you believe it? I don't have arms on my chairs. Each of those is a different chemistry in my brain. And this chair that I love, when I think about it, what's it doing for my body? A flood of chemistry, a flood of chemistry. And this chair that doesn't have arms, who is it hurting? Me. And it doesn't even have to try. I do that myself. Think about that. Okay. So our thoughts are electrical connections, and they all have emotions. So this is Linda on the first day. Remember, I invited her up here, and I asked her to do this exercise where we gave her something to think about, and it either strengthened her or it weakened her. You all did that exercise, remember that? And remember, we talked about that when we gave her something that weakened her, it wasn't just her arm, that every single cell in her body was flooded with that chemistry. So every single organ, everything in her body was flooded and weakened by that thought. And when we thought of something that she liked, every cell was strengthened. So, can you imagine where I'm going with the old men? We think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, 365 days a year. You are how many years old? Can you even do the math? Do we have a supercomputer, please? I want you to think about that. No wonder you're exhausted at night. I'm serious. Think about that. I mean, you did 60,000 thoughts, and the majority of them release chemicals that weaken you. The fact that you can stand up and walk to bed is amazing. Can you begin to see where illness could come from? Yep. And when you talk to somebody, they're not talking about something that happened last week. They're talking about that first husband 25 years ago who had the audacity, right? 25 years ago, as though it happened today. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about I can only draw from my history, and I'm from Ohio. Okay, so you have your cows every morning, you feed them, whatever. You send them out into the pasture, and the lead cow goes out, and what does the lead cow do? They walk down this path, right? Now, what do the other cows do? They follow the exact place. So we got this herd of cows on this piece of grass, and they all come down, and then at night, we call them back in to be fed and milked. And what do? How do they come back? Same path. They come back the same path. What do we do tomorrow? Same thing. What do we do the next day? Next year, what do? We got a cow path, okay? So you have things that you go over and over and over in your brain, and you literally create cow paths. And some of those cow paths go to China, right? And some of them get etched in so deeply you can't get out of the cow stuff. Think about that. You're in the muck so deeply that you can't get out of thinking the way you're thinking. So, you have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Many of them go in the same groove day after day. They release the same chemicals day after day, year after year. Is this making sense? Yeah, I talk to a lot of elderly people who are bored. They're still thinking about way back then. Way back then. I want you to think about, when we think about way back then, we're thinking about old stuff. Generally not good old stuff. What about if we think about the future and what we wanted to create? Where are your cow paths on those? How many of you, we got 24 hours today. How much of your time are you going to spend in the past? And how much of your time are you going to create your future? Because 90% of your thoughts today are the same thoughts you thought yesterday. You got up this morning, you went to the bathroom, you brushed your teeth, you turned on CNN, you made your toast, you thought about da-da-da-da-da-da. Same thing you've been doing for how long? And as soon as you got up and you brushed your teeth, you started thinking the same thoughts that you did yesterday when you brushed your teeth. Are you seeing a pattern here? It's amazing you're standing up, I'm telling you. Okay, now think about all of those dendrites, all of those cow paths that you make, 60,000 thoughts a day. They all get stored in specific places in the brain. So depending on what you're thinking about, some thoughts are here, and some thoughts are here, and some thoughts are here, depending on what you're thinking about. So one of the things that's really interesting is the Dalai Lama believes that if he hadn't have been the Dalai Lama, he would have been a scientist. Isn't that interesting? So he has devoted a lot, I shouldn't use it, not that, he has provided his monks available for science to study. And so, you know, they spend all day doing meditating. And the thing that they really meditate a lot about is compassion. They'll spend all day in deep meditation on compassion. I want you, I got to think about that. How many people in America spend a moment a day thinking about compassion? Who would you be if you spent time every day thinking about compassion? We'd be a different country, wouldn't we? So anyway, back to his monks, they studied the monks, and the area in the brain that deals with compassion was huge. They could make all kinds of connections because they spent time meditating on compassion. Isn't that incredible? So can you imagine how compassionate they must be as human beings? Whoa. So our thoughts get clumped in certain areas of our brain depending on the kind of thoughts that we're thinking. So some of us probably walk around like this, and some of us walk around, you know, we have a lot of thoughts over here, but not many here or whatever. But I want you to think about that. They're in certain places. So I want to do a little exercise. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Are you ready? Look what oops. I have a present for you. Look what I have. Do you know what's coming? We have a lemon to share. Oh, it's Christmas time. Think about that. Oh, it smells so good. Mmm. You want to smell my lemon? Smells good. Now, I want you all to imagine you have your own lemon and feel it. Feel your lemon. The rind, the rind is kind of like smooth, but it's rough, but it has like an oil. It's really neat. And then we can take that lemon, and what could we do with our lemon? Make lemonade. We could make lemonade. To get the lemonade, what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to cut it. So, I want you to all imagine you're cutting your own lemon. I'm going to let you actually hold a lemon. And I'm going to let you hold the other half. And I want you to imagine you're holding a lemon. Everyone imagine you have your own lemon. Oh, I can still smell it, and I don't even have it in my hand anymore. Should we cut it in quarters so more people could smell smell what that smells like? Now, I want you to imagine bringing that up to your mouth, that lemon, real slowly up to your mouth and opening your mouth. And the juice is going to squeeze it just a little bit so that juice comes down into your mouth. Can you feel that juice drop by drop by drop? Feel one more drop. Bruce, would you get her picture, please? This is the most perfect lemon-sucking face I've ever seen.
Well, how sweet.
There you go. There is. Look how the lips get pursed up. Look at that. She's got it. Those are perfect lemon lips. Pat, where is your lemon? Look at her mouth. Look at that. Where's the lemon, really? It's up there. It's up there. Yes.
I actually felt the back of my jaw tingling like I had something sour.
Yes. Yes. How can you do that? That is, don't you think that's amazing? It is amazing. Only these two people even had a lemon. And you're going, Hello, folks. Yeah, okay. So, now I need my notes. Anybody see my notes? They might be on the table. Okay. Okay. So, we talked about how your jaw tightened, how your mouth perked up, your face squinched up, the saliva changed in your mouth, and you didn't even have a lemon in your hand. Okay. Now what I want you to notice in doing the exercise is that when you were doing that, when you were thinking about that lemon, it was to the exclusion of all other thoughts. You weren't thinking about weeding your garden and what you're going to, you were totally focused, and your body was able to produce all kinds of chemicals just at the thought of having a lemon. Okay, so your body begins to physically respond to having a lemon by your thought alone. Think about that. Your body physically responds to the concept of having a lemon due to thought alone. So let's look at the effect on your body. Your body just produced a quantifiable physical effect on your body. Your mind produced a quantifiable effect on your body. The body changed without having any other physical interference. Now I want you to think about a man who hates his job. He's in the job for 20 years. Every Sunday night, he starts thinking about going to work tomorrow. The dread, the anger, the frustration. He goes into work in the morning, dreading the drive. He gets to work knowing it's another week of dealing with these idiots. They don't appreciate me. They don't understand. They make stupid decisions. I have to deal with incompetent people all day long. And throughout the day, he feels like he would rather be any place else but where he is. He counts the hours. He counts the minutes till he gets off work. On the drive home, he thinks about all he had to go through that day. He thinks about the traffic. He thinks about how his life is getting used up by people who don't care, who don't understand. And finally, 20 years later, he retires. And 2 years later, he has a heart attack. And no one can understand. He's retired. Life is good. He spent 20 years, drop by drop, in a chemistry that he created in his body. And every day that chemistry created plaque on his heart. That chemistry from his thoughts literally hardened his heart. And we wonder why he had a heart attack. So let's think about how far we can take this. Through thinking and feeling, can we become the person and become the life that we want? So what I ask you to think about, the qualities that you would like to possess in your life. In the morning when you get up, do you ever think about, what kind of person do I really want to be today? What kind of qualities do I want to have in my life? As opposed to listening to CNN tell you about something horrible. So, would you like to have qualities of being loving, being compassionate, feeling secure, feeling happy? Then by firing your brain in new ways, you could be creating literally a new mind. When you think about all the awful things, that's in a certain place in your mind. When you think about all the things that you want to create, like being compassionate, that's in a completely different place in your mind. So you literally create a new mind. So, instead of merely asking you what it would mean to be happy or at peace, I'd like you to put yourself in a position of practicing living in a state of happiness. How could you live in a state of happiness or live in a state of peace or live in a state of contentment? So let's try for one moment, visualize a moment living your life with those qualities. So just take a moment imagining your life with those qualities. And imagine yourself as someone who generally moves throughout their day happy, joyful, at peace. What would that feel like? Who would you be if you were a person who lived their life joyful and at peace? How would you move through your day in a joyful and at peace? How would you sleep at night if you spent your day in joy and peace? How would your world be different? You know what happiness looks like. You've been there. You've tried it. You know what happiness feels like. You had a birthday, right? You've had a lot of them, right? You've gotten to experience that a lot. So you've had those past experiences. So just by thinking in a new way, you begin firing your brain in a new way. Notice how your body feels just from having had these thoughts for the last few minutes. And remember in day one when we experienced strengthening and weakening your arm because of a thought? Okay. Now think about how your arm would feel if you just had spent a moment thinking about being happy and joyful. So as soon as you think a new thought, you become changed neurologically, chemically, and genetically. So think about creating a cow path of happy thoughts, a cow path of joy. That cow path will literally saturate your body with healthy chemicals. And the more that you repeat that happy thought, that joyful thought, the deeper that cow path gets. So that at a point, it's easier to be on the path of joy than the path of anger. You can't even get off the path of joy. You made it so deep. Okay. So thoughts create emotions. We know that the body can't tell the difference between something vividly imagined and something that physically takes place just by thought alone. So when you're thinking and feeling in a specific way as a part of your meditation process, you are different when you get up from meditating than you were when you sat down because of your intention. So who is in control of your body? Okay. So the new installed circuits, the neurological and chemical changes that have been produced by those thoughts and emotions have altered you in such a way that there's now physical evidence in your brain and body to demonstrate those changes you made. So, we want to think about thinking differently, feeling differently will enable us to become different. Now, remember the first day we did the guided meditation, and then last week we did the exercise where you switched your brain, you had your old thought and you had your new thought come in? What we're doing on those exercises is accelerating your ability to change the thoughts that you have. So you have some cow paths that are really deep. Okay? You've been doing them for years, for decades. The intent of those exercises, and I don't want you to have to take decades to put new ones in. So the point of those exercises is they literally, within those few minutes that we did them, they literally went from this connection to this connection. We literally rewired your brain. So if you do those exercises within a week, you can literally rewire your brain because they're fast. Yeah.
I just want to share that I was using that swish technique.
Yes, and do tell.
And I feel good about myself.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I repeated to myself, I feel good about myself.
Yes, and how did that feel?
Oh, wonderful. I couldn't sleep one night, and I started doing that, and I relaxed and was able to get back to sleep, and I just feel that it's really working.
Excellent. Okay, yes, give her a big hand. Now, the value of that is you're going to believe that more than you're going to believe me. Right? I'm the mother. She's your, sibling. Okay. Those kinds of comments are really powerful because everybody in the room just went, when I can't sleep at 2 o'clock, maybe I'll do that. So it's really valuable. Okay, thank you for saying that. Okay, so we're no longer, so now, I got to show you my other slide. You're going to love it. We're going to need to make new cow paths. That's what we're going to do. That's what we've been doing in here. Everything I have said to you, every exercise you have done, every activity has been to literally, physiologically change your brain and change your connections. So, let me explain to you what actually happens. You won't know what these words mean. It doesn't make any difference. I'm going to give you a sense of the chemistry that's going on in your body. We no longer have to wait and hope for change. We can make the change ourselves because we now are getting the tools, the knowledge, and technique to do that. We can become in control of our destiny versus being dependent on outside variables to make us happy. Studies show that getting in touch with positive, expansive emotions like kindness, love, compassion tends to release different neuropeptides than those that are released from anxiety and worry. You can feel infinitely more trust, more forgiveness, and love. And as you embody this new state of being, your neural circuitry opens the door to endless possibilities that you could never have imagined before because you've expended your energy versus trying to survive in the day. So this is what a thought happens. You get a new thought, like, tell me your new thought again? I feel good about myself. You got a new thought. What happens in that new thought is in this state we envision what we desire. Our hearts are literally physically more open. Your heart literally opens up and you have new emotions. You have new chemicals that go through your body. The mindset that we were in when we were in survival mode no longer exists. New chemicals begin delivering new messages to our cells which are now prepared to release new chemicals which now strengthen us instead of weakening us. This is important, listen to this. We are no longer waiting for change to happen. We're no longer hoping for change. We are making change. I think they call that empowerment. Okay, so let's visit our story of the old men from last week. Old men who went pretending to be younger and physically came out significantly healthier. This is what their bodies went through. When these men arrived, they retreated from their familiar lives, which constantly sent messages to them that they were old. They were no longer reminded of who they were and how they thought based on their external environment. They began their retreat by holding a clear intention to pretend to be young again, using physical and mental rehearsal because the change affects both the brain and the body, and to make it as real as possible. So they watched movies, they read magazines, they listened to radio, they watched the TVs of times when they were 22 years younger. And they were able to let go of the reality of being 70. They actually started living as though they were young again. They experienced new thoughts, new feelings about being younger. Their brains started firing new neurons, new sequences, new patterns, new combinations of patterns that hadn't been fired for 22 years. In doing that, their bodies produced neuropeptides, that sent new messages to the cells in their body. And as the appropriate cells allowed those chemical messengers in, they ushered them straight to the DNA deep inside each cell. And once they arrived, new proteins were created. And those proteins looked for new genes according to the information they were carrying. And when they found what they were looking for, the proteins unwrapped the old DNA, switching the gene that was lying in wait and triggering new epigenetic changes. These epigenetic changes resulted in the production of new proteins that resembled the proteins of the men 22 years ago. If the men's bodies didn't happen to have the necessary parts to create the epigenetic changes, they simply called on their stem cells to produce them. That's the chemical process, the actual chemistry that was going through their body. So their bodies were no longer in the past. Their bodies had actually literally become younger. A whole entire cascade of improvements came because more changes to switch more genes, and as a result, they waltzed out the door in bodies that literally were younger. Everything they did is something every one of us can do. They changed their minds of what they thought about. I think the course is using your brain for a change. Any questions? Yes, Linda.
A question that probably there has not been an experiment done on it.
Okay, there probably has.
When you spoke of changing even your brain, or with the brain discipline, changing yourself genetically, could an
Yes.
expectant mother change the genetics of the baby?
Yes. because she is flooding the baby with hormones all day long. Think about that.
So a happily married woman will have probably a happy baby.
Certainly will have laid a foundation that is much more likely than a baby who is and a mother who is in chronic stress. So the gift goes on. Yeah. 5-minute break. Thank you very much. Change your bodies. All right. Are you ready to change your boxes? Okay. All right. I'd like you to turn in your packet. You have a blank sheet of paper. Keep going, keep going. Okay. Now, I remember on the first day you identified something that you wanted to work on, something that you wanted to change, and we did an activity around that, and then last week we did an activity around that same one. So I want you to, if it works for you, pick that, whatever that thing was in your life that you wanted to change. Is everybody with me for a second? Okay. Okay, whatever that is, on this blank paper, in the bottom left-hand corner, I want you to draw a little box. And I want you to put whatever your issue is inside that box. And draw a stick figure of yourself inside that box with that issue. Well, you can make it a little bigger. Just color it in black. And then I'd like you to write two words in the box or around the box of how you feel about that issue. It's confining, it's restricting, it's sad, it's blah, blah, blah. However many words you can think about that issue brings up for you. And then I'd like you to go to the next empty page and draw a big square in the center, a big box in the center. It should be the next page. Yeah, you are. It's okay. I know, my gosh. Just make up a sheet. Okay, so in the big square, put the solution, how that's resolved, how it is when it's the way you want it. So whatever your situation was, you have no money, now you want to have money. Or you don't feel you have enough love and you want to have a lot of love. Whatever the solution is, draw a big box, and in that box, write the words of how this box would feel if you had everything in that issue resolved for you. You could relax. You could let go. You could feel safe. You could let love in. You could give love. Whatever. And draw a stick figure and put yourself outside the box. Okay, now what I'd like you to do is just sit back and relax. And close your eyes. And we're going on a little trip. So as you sit back and you take a deep breath, just notice how your body automatically begins to relax. And let that relaxation flow to the area around your eyes. And let your jaw relax. And let that relaxation flow down your throat and into your shoulders, down your arms, and relax your chest and your abdomen. And let all that relaxation flow down your hips and your legs. And take one more deep breath and relax even deeper. And now I'd like you just to recall your first box where your problem lives, where it resides, where it impacts you day in and day out. And I'd like you just to notice how small your box is, how confined, how restricted, how constricted it has made you feel. And as you notice the things in the box, notice what color your box is. Is it black? Is it gray? How dark is it? Are there points of light at all? And if so, what are they? And take just a moment to notice the things in your box that don't work for you now. What are those things? How are they impacting you? How long have they impacted you? And notice what people are there. How have they been impacted by your box? And notice how you are holding yourself in this box. Where are you constricting your body? Are you frowning? Is your jaw tight? Is your stomach in a knot? Where are you confining yourself? And over to your right is a door. And I'd like for you to walk outside of this box. And take a deep breath. You are free for the moment. You're outside of your box. And I'd like you to continue to walk along a beautiful path in the woods where you hear the birds singing and you can smell the moss and the trees and the fresh air. And you can relax your shoulders. And as you continue to relax even deeper, just imagine yourself beginning to gently lift up and begin to rise above the forest, knowing that you are perfectly safe. Begin to rise towards the heavens and begin to rise further and further out into space. And as you move out into the quantum field, you realize there are no constrictions. There are no restrictions on you. And so as you float even higher, you begin to see your large box where this issue has been completely resolved in every way that you desire. And you open the door to your box, and it feels so spacious, so comfortable, so made just for you. And notice all the things that you desire are in this box to resolve this situation. They may be tools, they may be beliefs, they may be other people. What are all the things that you need to resolve this and live this in the way for your highest good? And imagine that you have each of them exactly as you need them. And as you see this unfold exactly as you need it, and exactly as others need it, you begin to see how very possible it is for you to live like this as long as you desire. And become aware of the new feelings that you feel as you see this resolved to the highest good for all. And notice where those new feelings are in your body. Notice what begins to open up for you. Notice how you now feel having resolved this situation for the highest good of all involved. And become aware of what you hear. What do you begin to hear in your heart as this solution resolves itself? And what do you hear from others? And where do you feel these new feelings in your body? And as you look around, what do you notice about the colors in your world now? Are they softer Are they more brilliant? Is there more color in your world having this resolved? Where is your joy? And where do you feel your happiness? And take a look all around your large box where this perfect solution has now been living for you. And look in every little nook and cranny to see every object, to hear every voice, to feel every good feeling that exists in this box for you and all concerned. And whenever you're ready, step out of your box and begin to collapse your box so that you can hold it in one hand and put it in your pocket next to your heart. And whenever you're ready, begin to come back to the earth, come back to the ground with your perfect solution in your pocket to be carried with you whenever you choose to take it out. And now begin to walk down the path of those woods and walk back to the church and walk back into your seat. And when you are ready, in your packet of materials is a sheet I'd like you to complete about your journey. Okay, I just want you to notice what we did here. I was talking. You were listening. I had you get up, had you take a break. You talked. You sat down, and we took you from beta into alpha. And some of you were going into theta, okay? Look how easy it is, one. And secondly, it had nothing to do with what I said. It had to do with what you said to yourself when I stopped talking, right? Because some of you were saying other things when I was saying things, right? It's not the external environment that does it to you. It's what you say to yourself while that external environment is talking. And you all look like you were having a wonderful time. And that's what theta looks like, feels like. You did it yourself. You can do it when you go home at any time at the traffic light. Okay? Get to with a partner, share. Take just a moment, share what you got from your experience, and let's see what we got here. Okay. So if you would take just a moment, please, and turn to your last page and take just a moment to mind map what you learned today. Day 3, what did you learn? I'm putting you back into alpha. Or not alpha, I'm putting you back into beta. take a moment and just mind map what you learned today. Okay, I'd like to just wind up today giving you a quote from my most favorite book. Isn't this your book? Braiding Sweetgrass? Yes, have you all read this? Okay, Braiding Sweetgrass. If you haven't read this, go straight from here to Barnes & Noble. It is my all-time favorite book. I love this book. And so in the book, they're talking about the first man that walked on earth and what he was learning. And he sees great fires that are burning all of these forests. And she says to him, yes, but we also use the fire to warm our homes. And the statement is made, all powers have two sides. The power to create and the power to destroy. We must recognize them both, but invest our gifts on the side of creation. Your thoughts are your gifts that you've been given. Use them to create wisely. See you next week. Have a great week. Oh, you're so welcome. Have a great one.